Hello, it's Deborah from the attic. If you're new here, hi, you have over 400 videos to catch up with, so please visit the playlist for journal making, card making and my real French life, or if you're in a hurry, try the coffee break tutorial playlist for quick ideas while enjoying a cuppa. Please subscribe and do hit the like button when you enjoy a video because that really helps me grow my channel. It's a really supportive action. And if you're a returning friend, hello again. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can create your own vellum style paper using transfer paper and printing off designs that you like onto it. Now I have used a design called Woodland Mist. This is one of my own kits. It's available in my Etsy shop as an instant downloadable digital art form, and you can print this off and use that to print onto parchment or transfer paper, or you can use anything else that you want to print onto transfer paper. And then I'm going to show you different ways that you can make sure that it attaches and creates a pocket without any attaching or glue being visible, because when you're using something like this, which I mean I love this stuff, it's so beautiful, but it can be a bit tricky to secure. So I'm going to show you 4 different ways that you can do that, and I'm also going to show you a way that you make some faux washi tape if you don't have your own washi tape. This is a little book that I want to add my pockets to because I have 4 pages where I have spaces. I have one here, and I have these 2 here, and I want to just add some little pockets. I'm going to show you the papers that I've printed out. Now this is using a kit in my Etsy shop, a set of papers. I'll provide a link to the video where I introduced those up there. There'll also be links below the video if you look in the read more description box. And what I've done is I've printed out 4 pages. I've printed out 2 on ordinary A4 standard photocopy paper, and I mean they're just so lovely. And then I wanted to print out some on parchments, and this is actually light parchment. It's not parchment, it's transparent paper. Let me show you. I think these look beautiful, really ethereal. They've got that lovely misty quality to them, and I just put this transfer paper directly into the paper drawer of my printer, and off we went. Again, details of the printer that I use and the papers that I generally use are below the video. And then there's this one too, and again it's just so pretty, it's so beautiful. I love vellum, I love parchment, but sometimes when you see things like this, they're really expensive to buy in the shops. You can print it yourself, and I'll show you the transfer paper that I used as well. This is it. I found this on Amazon UK, and I got something like 135 sheets. It's a really big thick pack. I can't remember how much it was because I've had it in my stash for a little while. But if you wanted to look for the identical thing that I used, it's this, otherwise known as transfer paper, the sort of thing that you would use to transfer pencil designs onto something else. So to start with, I'm going to cut down tags from this sheet that will fit within my booklet. I've cut down my tags from my 2 sheets of normally printed paper, so there they are already, and I've just cut them down by hand and I've worked out my angles. I've got a little hole there ready for me to punch them using a crocodile, and I think the crocodile should go all through these. They're quite robust machines. Okay, so that's my tags already. And for my tags at the bottom here, I've rounded the corners using I never know the name of these, cornerizer thing, and I think I've used the 7mm corner maker. And I'm also going to take advantage of the little strip of paper that I have left over by using this to create little hole protectors for my tags. Now you may have seen me do this in other videos. It's a little trick that I think is really helpful and useful, and I'm going to work on the reverse because I think it'll make it easier for you to see. So if you want to make these, start with your crocodile on the largest hole size and punch little holes in, allowing enough of a gap between each of them to allow for them to be punched out again. I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. And if you don't have a hole punch the right size that I'm about to show you, which is 1/2 inch, you can always cut them. You can always cut them out by hand. That's what I used to do until I found this punch. And they don't have to be round. Cutting something in a circle is quite tricky. Cut a square, it really doesn't matter. Or cut a triangle, or cut a shape that you think will fit with your your tag. Don't feel that you have to try and cut perfect circles, because I think that would drive you mad trying to do that. So this hole punch is a 1/2 inch hole punch. It's really, really useful, and I use it in conjunction with my crocodile quite a lot, because with the holes punched out this way, it's easy for me to position my hole punch upside down and see exactly where I need to punch out. And if you have a crocodile or something that will make a hole punch this size, and one of those desktop punches, you know, with the 2 holes in it at top and bottom, they would punch these out for you, no problem. And then you can just cut them out or invest in a 1/2 inch hole punch. And it means that you will always be able to make your own matching hole punch. No, you will always be able to make your own matching hole protectors for any of your projects using the colours and the papers that are appropriate for you. So I'm going to just glue those on the top of each of my tags. I'm going to use some Distress Oxide. This colour is Black Soot, with a little brush that I have that I keep for dark shades. And I'm just going to very gently go around the outside of my tag, and adding a little bit of this black will give it a little bit of extra distinction. And what I'm doing is knocking off some of that black on my paper underneath before I drag it onto my tag, because otherwise you risk getting little intense areas of black and it will look quite uneven. And so this way, knocking off some of the black before I go onto the tag means that I get a smoother transition of the black onto the card. That's my first tag done, nicely edged with the black. And if you want to make a more intense black line, take the ink pad in your hand and just run it down the edges of the tag, and it will give a sharp black outline. I quite like that effect. I'm going to finish the rest of my tags now. I've got my tag and I've started on my pocket. So I've cut my pocket maybe about 5mm wider than my tag, and I've put the plain selection on the back and a nice picture with the trees on it on the front, and you just go through your pages and just choose which bit you want. So here I would use the detail on the front and the plainer bit for the reverse. And I've started joining it, and this is where it's useful to understand the different ways that you can glue or stick together pieces of transfer paper, because obviously it's a glue line would be visible. So I'm using washi tape. You could use surgical tape in lieu of washi tape if you don't have washi tape. And you can jazz this up as well. You could stamp onto this so that it looked as if it was faux washi, for example. But for the moment, this is what I'm using, and I'm going to make sure I've got a nice straight edge. And I'm just going to glue it. I'm going to try and get it the same width as the one on the opposite side. And then just glue it straight down the side of my pocket. I'll make a rough cut here just to release the roll of tape, and then fold it on this side of my pocket, and then trim it down properly afterwards, like that. And that looks quite effective. I'm going to add a little row of washi on the bottom as well, because I want this to be a pocket that will hold a tag. I think that's really rather sweet. I really like how the washi frames that. I've gone back to my surgical tape, and I'm going to just show you how you can stamp on it and make it look like faux washi. I've got StazOn Jet Black ink. I'm using StazOn because it will dry faster and the stamp will go on cleaner, considering we're stamping onto something that is partly fabric. And just use any stamp that you happen to have in your stash. I've used a piece of the parchment paper or the transfer paper to put my tape onto, because I think it will be easier for me to just pull it up from the parchment once I've finished my stamping. Really all you want is literally an impression. That's all you need to make it look like washi. And I'll do the same with my second piece. So I'm going to use this in the same way that I used my real washi tape, but now that I've taken some of the adhesion off the back, you just want a little bit of low-level tack to help it stick to your project. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut it in half. And the easiest way to cut it in half is to stick it back on the parchment paper and then cut it in situ. It's just easier than having to manage a bit of sort of fabricy thing that's flopping around. So that's ready to be used. I have another of my pockets where I've taken the plainer background and I've put a nice interesting background on the front of that. And I'll do exactly the same as I did with my first set of washi tape. To glue the reverse of my pocket onto my background page, I'm going to show you a couple of ways that you could do this. The first way is you could take any liquid glue and you could just run it down the outside where your washi tape is and then stick the washi tape to your back page. Or the other thing that you could do is use a glue stick. This is one from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm going to add this to the washi tape, and you could stop it at that stage, but I'm going to add it onto the back panel that sits below the front panel. So what I mean by that is I'm gluing on the reverse below this line because then it won't show. And that way the whole of the reverse of this panel, this section here, is glued to the back of my book, but it isn't at all visible. And now I have a beautiful little tuck space for my tag, and my tag will be great for doing little extra journaling on the reverse. And if I want to make a note of maybe something that I've written on there, I could use this. So if I wanted to log, say, an event such as an autumn walk, I can spell it out on my little gizmo. Don't know what this thing is called, but I know you'll know what it is. The autumn got a bit, two letters crossed over each other there, so I think what I can do is I can just use walk. And I can add my own word to my own tag to capture what was going on. And I think if I put that, I'm going to take the edge off that, neaten it up. I've got my little word, and I could either add it to the tag or I could add it to, I'm going to add it to the pocket. That's quite nice. That's another way that you can decorate your pockets. For my final two tags, I've glued them slightly differently. So with this one, I've glued a piece of lace across the front of the pocket, and that means that underneath the lace, I can add a tiny little spot of glue and it won't be visible because it's underneath the lace, and then I've popped a couple of little tags in there, and I've used my cornerizer to just cornerize these top pieces as well, and I can glue that into one of the spare pages in my journal. And I've also done a little pocket like this where I've sewn the edges using my old hand-cranked sewing machine. I've added a little bit of twine across the front, and I've used my little letter maker, word maker thing to create two little words that say Woodland Mist, and then that's ready to be glued into one of my spare pages as well. And this is how our pocket with the faux washi tape turned out. I hope you found that useful. I hope that that's given you some ideas for ways that you could use and glue parchment pockets in your own journals. Thank you very much for watching. As always, thank you for your time, and until we meet again, stay safe and take care.